Hi, this is Dustine from Two Lucky Cats. I'm going to explain to you how to make a Thinking of Spring felt cuff. The information sheet and the pattern for this video you can find at our website, twoluckycats.com. As you can see, I have some of the Thinking of Spring felt cuffs here that I'm working on. This one is totally completed and the other three are in various stages of completion. The bottom three here are the smaller size. If you notice in the patterns, I included two different size patterns. One was for a 6-inch wrist and the other one was for a 7-inch wrist, which I thought would be the most common sizes for people's wrist. But if it doesn't fit, what you have to do is measure your wrist and then add 1 3/4 inches to that measurement. And then that'll be the length, and then the width is 1 inch. Once you cut out two of these for your cuff, you'll notice there's also a piece that goes like this. And what this is for is to put it over one of them, because that'll be the top, and just put it on top of your felt and trace this line with the disappearing marker. And this is what's going to be the branch here that the flowers are on. And then you notice here there's a space for the buttonhole, because you don't want to be cutting through the stitches you made here when you're cutting the spot for the buttonhole. So once you sew this with your with the running stitch, then you need to cut out your flowers. And I do want to repeat again, if you don't have a pair of these scissors, these curved blade scissors, it just makes it so much easier if you have a pair of the curved blade scissors to cut out the pieces with curves in them. So I do recommend, if you can, to get a pair. Now, after I sew this on, I put space the flowers out just to get an idea of where I'm going to put them. So do that. If you're making a smaller cuff, I was able to put all 5 flowers on. But if you'd like to put 4 flowers because it'll give you more space in between each flower, then that's a decision that you can make. Alright, the next step to make the cuff is, once you've spaced out the flowers and see where you want to put them, I start on this side and I put my first flower. And I just want to show you explain to you what the process is to attach the flower to the felt. So I have my flower, and then I come up from the bottom and I put a stitch right in the middle of each of these petals. And I went over it twice and then went on to each leaf. And then I came up from the bottom in the middle, and I put the needle through this. This is called a spacer. And you can find them in the stores either individually, or I got some on a strip of beads like this that included spacers. So you put it in the middle, put your thread up through that hole, and then use a size 10 seed bead and put the thread through both sides and then back down through that hole and back to the other side, and knot it off about 2 or 3 times. Now, you have a choice. You can either put a flower on and then put the leaves on, or put all the flowers on and then put the leaves on. But what I did was I just put my finger underneath and lifted up the petals. Like sometimes it's in between the 2 stitches, so I just lift back the petals and put the leaf in. And then I would stitch up to here. Now, for example, with this leaf, it's coming over the edge of the band, so I just sewed up to before the edge of the band here. So once you have your leaves attached, then I put these little berries on. So I just put a little stroke, and it was 2 or 3 stitches, and then I put 1, 2, 3, 4 little beads on to represent berries in between the flowers here. Once you have this done, then it's time to go to the next step. All right, the next step is attaching the charm here to the bottom of the cuff. I put it right next to the first flower here below the buttonhole. So I wanted to talk to you about using a jump ring. Now on this charm, it came with a jump ring. Usually they don't, so you're probably going to have to attach 2 jump rings, and that's what this is called. And when I make these projects, I try to keep the number of materials and tools that you use to a minimum. So you don't really need to get any jewelry tools. You can just use a pair of tweezers and just bend it back so there's a tiny opening. And then you just slip it through either the hole in the charm here, or if the other jump ring. And then once you get it open, you can just close it back again with the tweezers. And then I just attached it to the felt. I just started like this, you know, well, I came up from the bottom. Let me do this here, because you don't want your knot to show. Although with all the beads on it, it probably wouldn't. But I came up here from the bottom, close to the edge of the ring, on the inside of the ring. And then I just, about 3 or 4 times, I just went back and forth here to secure the ring to the edge here of the band. And then I just went down, and then I came back up into the center. And then I took the another spacer bead, and I did just like we did the center of the flowers. And I put that on, and then I got a size 10 seed bead, and I went right back down in the same hole that I came up from. And then well, unfortunately, I got, every once in a while you get a bead that won't fit through the needle. So let me try this again. You know what? I think when I threaded the needle, I got the needle too big, which just shows you that you really need to have a small enough needle to go through these. So anyway, I just went back through here with the seed bead, because the seed bead's what holds everything on. And then knotted it off on the other side a couple times, and then you're done with the charm. So the front of this is done. So all you have to do now is finish off the cuff. Alright, now to finish off the cuff, you put the 2 pieces of felt together, and I always even them right here at the end where the buttonhole is, and pin it. And then I just start stitching here, and every 3rd stitch I put a seed bead on, a size 10 seed bead, but it's up to you whether you want to bead it or not. And then I just go around the edges. Now, one thing, when you do all the stitching, sometimes the top piece of felt, it makes it shrink a little bit. So when you get to this end, you could have more on the bottom than you have here on the top piece. So when I get to this space right here, I just clip off any extra felt here from the bottom piece. And then I just continue on here to the end, and then that's finished. Make sure you knot it off a few times so your stitches don't unravel. Then I'm ready to put in the buttonhole, and I just fold the end of the felt like this and make a tiny little cut, and then I just continue to make the buttonhole, or the buttonhole. Before I stitch around it, because I want to do it with an overcast stitch, I always make sure I cut it big enough to fit the button that I chose. So that way, if you need to cut it a little bit bigger, you find out before you actually make the stitches and try the button. And then you're probably just going to, if it's too small, you have to find a smaller button. Alright, so once you do that, the last step is just to attach the button on the other end. If you're new to sewing, here I used a shank button, and these are a little bit more difficult to stitch on. So if you're a novice, you might want to use a button that has holes in it, because they're a little easier to sew. So once you've done that, you've completed your Thinking of Spring felt cuff. I hope you enjoyed making Thinking of Spring felt cuff, and I hope you enjoy wearing it. If you notice on the information sheet, I have included some information about where to get some of the materials that you'll need for the cuff. So we have plenty of projects and ideas coming, so come back and see us soon at twoluckycats.com.